Hello, it is February 12th, 212. And just like every night, we are going to say the Lord's Prayer. So if you want to join me, that would be great. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Deliver us from evil, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. So today we are going to read Exodus 34 1 through 35 9, Matthew 27 15 through 31, Psalms 33 13 through 22, and Proverbs 9 7 through 12. So here we go. Exodus 34 1 through 35 9 for February 12th. God spoke to Moses, cut out 2 tablets of stone, just like the originals, and engrave on them the words that were on the original tablets you smashed. So Moses went up the mountain. God gave him the 10 Commandments. He come down and saw that Aaron had made a golden calf. The people they didn't know what happened to Moses, so he was up there for a while. So they thought he was gone. So they wanted to worship something, so they made a golden calf. And Moses come down and lost his mind, smashed the tablets. Now he's back up on the mountain, and God's telling him to do it again. It's kind of where we left off. So just like the originals engraved on the words that were on them and the original tablets you smashed, be ready in the morning to climb Mount Sinai and get set to meet me on the top of the mountain. Not a soul is to go with you. The whole mountain must be clear of people, even animals. Not even sheep or oxen can be grazing in front of the mountain. So Moses cut out 2 tablets of stone, just like the originals. He got up early in the morning and climbed Mount Sinai as God had commanded him. Carrying the 2 tablets of stone, God descended in the cloud and took up his position there beside him, and called out the name God. God passed in front of him and called out, God, God, a God of mercy and grace, endless patient, so much love, so deeply true, loyal in love for 1,000 generations, forgiving iniquity, rebellion, and sin. Still, he doesn't ignore sin. He holds his sons and grandsons responsible for a father's sins to the third and even fourth generation. Well, that's kind of scary. At once, Moses fell to the ground and worshiped, saying, Please, O Master, if you see anything good in me, please, Master, travel with us. Hard headed as the people are, forgive your iniquity and sin. Own us, possess us. And God said, As of right now, I'm making a covenant with you. In full sight of your people, I will work wonders that have never been created in all the earth in any nation. Then all the people with whom you're living will see how tremendous God's glory, God's work is. The work I'll do for you. Take careful note of all I command you today. I'm clearing your way by driving out Amorites, Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Stay vigilant. Don't let down your guard, lest you make covenant with the people who live in the land that you are entering, and they go up with you. Tear down their altars, smash their phallic pillars, chop down their fertile poles. Don't worship any other god. God, his name is the jealous one. He is a jealous God. Be careful that you don't make a covenant with the people who live in the land and take up their sex and religion life. Join them in the meals at their altars. Marry your sons to their women, women who take up with any covenant god or goddess, and will get your sons to do the same thing. Don't make molten gods for yourselves. Keep the feast of the unraised bread. Eat only unraised bread for 7 days in the month of Abib. It was in that month of Abib that you came out of Egypt. Every firstborn from the womb is mine. All the males of your herds, your firstborn oxen and sheep, redeem your firstborn donkey with a lamb. If you don't redeem it, you must break its neck. Redeem each of your firstborn sons. No one is to show up in my presence empty handed. Work 6 days and rest the seventh. Stop working even during plowing and harvesting. Keep the feast of the weeks. Keep the feast of weeks with the first cutting of the wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the turn of the year. All your men are to appear before the Master, the God of Israel, 3 times a year. You won't have to worry about your land when you appear before your God 3 times a year. For I will drive out the nations before you and give you plenty of land. Nobody's going to be hanging around plotting ways to get it from you. Don't mix the blood of my sacrifices with any firmament. Don't leave leftovers from the Passover feast until morning. Bring the finest of the first fruits of your produce to the house of God. Don't boil a kid in its mother's milk, a goat. God said to Moses, "Now write down these words, for by these words I've made a covenant with you and Israel." Moses was there with God 40 days and 40 nights. He didn't eat any food and he didn't drink any water. Oh, good Lord. And he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 words. 40 days and 40 nights. Now, I fasted 12 days with water only. I can't imagine going 12 days without water and food. I've gone 12 days without food, and I've done that 3 times. It was pretty intense. And talk about hearing the Holy Spirit and God talking. Talk about getting rid of the static in your head. It's crazy. God said to Moses, in a good way, God said to Moses, "Now write down these words, for by these words I've made a covenant with you and Israel." Moses was there with God 40 days and 40 nights. He didn't eat any food, he didn't drink any water, and he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 words. Yeah, I had to read that again. That was intense. When Moses came down from the Mount Sinai carrying the 2 tablets of the testimony, he didn't know that the skin of his face glowed because he had been speaking with God. Aaron and all the Israelites saw his radiant face, and held back, afraid to get close to him. Moses called out to them. Aaron and the leaders in the community came back, and Moses talked with them. Later, all the Israelites came up to him as he passed on the commands, everything that God had told him on Mount Sinai. When Moses finished speaking with them, he put a veil over his face, but when he went into the presence of God to speak with him, but when he went into the presence of God to speak with him, he removed the veil until he came out. When he came out and told the Israelites what he had been commanded, they would see Moses' face, its skin glowing, and then he would again put the veil on his face until he went back in to speak with God. Moses spoke to the entire congregation of Israel, saying, "These are the things that God has commanded you to do. Work 6 days, but the seventh day will be a holy rest. God's holy rest day. Anyone who works on this day must be put to death. Don't light any fires in your homes on the Sabbath day." Moses spoke to the entire congregation of Israel, saying, "This is what God has commanded. Gather from among you an offering for God. Receive on God's behalf what everyone is willing to give as an offering: gold, silver, bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet material, fine linen, goat's hair, tanned ram skins, dolphin skins, acacia wood, lamp oil, spices for anointing oil and for fragrant incense, onyx stones, and the other stones for setting in the ephod and the breastpiece." So the breakdown of Exodus 34:1 through 35:9 says God restores what was broken. After Israel's failure with the golden calf, God invites Moses back up to the mountain and reveals his character. Merciful, gracious, slow to anger, faithful, and just. This is a covenant renewal, not cancellation. Moses comes down changed, literally glowing from being in God's presence. The takeaway: time with God transforms you, and grace doesn't remove obedience, it fuels it. The people respond by willingly bringing offerings to God's dwelling place. Grace leads to generosity. 40 days. Could you imagine going 40 days and 40 days and 40 nights without water and food? I do have a goal of 15 days. I think I could have did it the last time I tithed, the last time I fasted. Um, I was watching a couple of different podcasts where people have fasted for in the 20s and even 40 days with just water. That's intense. But like I said, when you get past day 3 or 4, there's this brain fog that goes away, and you hear things clearly. The birds are just sing louder and they're brighter, and you see things different. All the toxins and things that are in our food, you just don't get caught up in all that stuff. I would tell you to seek a physician before you do it, but it's one of the most amazing things you'll ever do is fast with water only. Put a little electrolytes in there, like some Himalayan salt or something every morning. It's one of the most intense things. And if you can make it past 3 days, 4 days when the headaches go away. Man, it's amazing. I could talk about that for an hour itself. Matthew 27:15 through 31. It was an old custom during the feast for the governor to pardon a single prisoner named by the crown. At the time, they had an infamous Jesus Barabbas in prison. With the crown before him, Pilate said, "Which prison?" The infamous Jesus Barabbas. Okay, I thought his name was Barabbas, and Jesus was the other person in prison. When the crowd was before him, Pilate said, "Which prisoner do you want me to pardon, Jesus Barabbas or Jesus, the so-called Christ?" He knew it was thought. He knew it was through sheer spite that they had turned Jesus over to him. While court was still in session, Pilate's wife sent him a message: "Don't get mixed up in judging the noble man. I've just I've just been through a long and troubled night because of a dream about him." Meanwhile, the high priests and religious leaders had taken the crowd into asking for the pardon of Barabbas and the execution of Jesus. The governor said, "Which of the two do you want me to pardon?" And they said, "Barabbas." "Then what do I do with Jesus, the so called Christ?" They all shouted, "Nail him to the cross." He objected, "But for what crime?" But they yelled all the louder, "Nail him to a cross." When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere and that a riot was imminent, he took a basin of water and washed his hands in full sight of the crowd, saying, "I'm washing my hands of responsibility for this man's death. From now on, it is in your hands, your judge and jury." The crowd answered, "We will take the blame. We and our children after us." Then he pardoned Barabbas, but he had Jesus whipped and then handed over for crucifixion. The soldiers assigned to the governor took Jesus into the governor's palace and got the entire brigade together for some fun. They stripped him and dressed him in a red robe, then plaited a crown from branches of thorn bush and set it on his head. They put a stick in his right hand, like for a scepter, and they knelt before him in mocking reverence. "Bravo, King of the Jews," they said, "bravo." Then they spit on him and hit him in the head with a stick. When they had their fun, they took off the robe and put his own clothes back on him, and they proceeded out to the crucifixion. Man, the next couple of days it's going to get rough reading all that, what he went through. Um, I got something to tell you about the crown of thorns too in just a minute. This is injustice on full display. Is declared innocent, yet condemned because the crowd prefers comfort over truth. Barabbas, a guilty man, goes free, while Jesus, the innocent, is punished. A picture of substitution. The soldiers mock him as a fake king, not realizing he is the real one. The takeaway says humanity rejects truth when it threatens power. Ain't that the truth? But God's plan moves forward even through evil. So I want you to when you get a free minute, Google Jesus crown of thorns and hit images. And you'll see this almost like a helmet looking thing that went down and it covered his whole face, and there was only like a little section over his eyes. And that's what they put on him. And I guess some research was done, and it wasn't just like a little tiny crown thing that they put on and kind of smashed it into his head. The crown of thorns, those thorns were like really, really long and really pointy, and they came down like a helmet. And that's what they mashed on top of him. I got goosebumps talking about it. That's just so, wow. Psalms 33:13 through 22 says, "From high in the sky, God looks around. He sees all Adam's brood. From where he sits, he overlooks all us earth dwellers. He has shaped each person in turn. Now he watches everything we do. No king succeeds with a big army alone. No warrior wins by brute strength. Horsepower is not the answer. No one gets by on muscle alone. Watch this. God's eye is on those who respect him, the ones who are looking for his love. He's ready to come to their rescue in bad times. In lean times, he keeps body and soul together. We're depending on God. He's everything we need. What's more, our hearts brim with joy since we've taken for our own his holy name. Love us, God, with all you've got. That's what we're depending on." The breakdown of Psalms 33:13 through 22 says, God sees everything, every heart, every motive, every nation. Human strength, armies, and power structures don't determine outcome. God does. But this isn't meant to scare, it's meant to comfort. Those who fear the Lord and hope in his unfailing love are watched over, protected, and sustained. The takeaway: hope in God beats trust in self every time. Fear of the Lord. When I think of fear of the Lord, I think of the fear my mother used to put in us as a child of wait till your father gets home. That's the kind of fear, or the fear of the Lord I have, because when my father walked in the door and he found out what we did, it was like I was going to meet Jesus that day. I was going to get my little hind end beaten, or my brother and sister were. That's what I feel like the fear of the Lord is. Not, I don't cringe. I look forward to him coming home, or him like being in front of his presence. But when you know you're doing something wrong, it's like that cringy moment. That's what the fear of the Lord means to me. Proverbs 9, 7 through 12 says, if you reason with an arrogant cynic, you'll get slapped in the face. Confront bad behavior and get a kick in the shins. Kind of sounds like what we're going through in this day and time. So don't waste your time on a scoffer. All you'll get for your pains is abuse. But if you correct those who care about life, that's different. They'll love you for it. Save your breath for the wise. They'll be wiser for it. Tell God, tell good people what you know. They'll profit from it. Skilled living gets its start in the fear of God. Insight into life from knowing a holy God. It's through me, Lady Wisdom, that your life depends, and the years of your life ripen. Excuse me. Live wisely, and wisdom will permeate your life. Mock life, and life will mock you. Proverbs 9, 7 through 22, the breakdown says, correction reveals character. The mocker rejects wisdom and attacks the messenger. The wise accept correction and grow stronger. Wisdom begins with reverence for God, not intelligence or experience. This passage draws a sharp line. Your response to correction determines your trajectory. Trajectory. That's a mouthful. The passage draws a sharp line. Your response to correction determines your trajectory. Humility multiplies wisdom. Pride isolates you. So that's pretty much all we got for tonight. February, and if I said January earlier, February 12th. I think I might have said January. I'll have to go back and watch this again. All right, guys. If no one told you today, I love you. I do. I love you. I love you. I love you. You are worth it. And I can't tell you, you're here for a reason and you're here for a purpose. Don't ever forget that. So have a better than good night, and we will see you tomorrow, February 13th. Have a good night.